Welcome back, everybody. This is the H piece of the puzzle here, and today we're giving you the definitive Murders at Karlov Manor cEDH Commander tier list. Joining me today is niche internet micro celebrity Thunderfarts, also known as Cole. Cole, how are you doing today?
Depressed.
Business as usual. All right, so how the tier list works is we have every possible card that can be your commander, and we are ranking them in the objective, if you disagree, you're wrong, tier rankings of Najila, Webcam Warrior, better in the 99, it says draw a card, I suppose, Casual All-Stars, jank in a bad way, and at the bottom we have no, just don't play those cards. So, kicking things off, we're just going in alphabetical order today. We're starting with Agris Kos, Spirit of Justice. It's a legendary creature, Spirit Detective, costs 2, a red and a white for a 2/4 with double strike and vigilance. Whenever Argus Cross Spirit of Justice enters the battlefield or attacks, choose up to one target creature. If it's suspected, exile it. Otherwise, suspected, and a suspected creature has menace and can't block. I don't think this card has anything going for it.
But yeah, this is like, I don't know, this has too many fucking words.
Yeah, like, you're asking me to read.
Yeah, like you're asking me to read. It says it has new set mechanics. Nobody's like, the only way you're gonna win games with this is somebody looks at it and says, "What does suspect mean?" And you just lie about it.
Yeah, like the best way to win with Agris Kos is just gaslighting your opponent into saying it's actually Tim Necron.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, it's like nobody's gonna believe you. It's a 2/4. It has. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of Tim Necron. Kind of Necron. It has 2 power, 4 toughness, and those are numbers that appear on both cards.
It is removal in the command zone. You know,
okay, we're not going there.
I like
just throw in the garbage.
All right, no, don't play this. Next up, I think is one of probably your better options this set. We have Alquist Proft, Master Sleuth. He is a legendary creature, human detective, 3/3 for 1, a white and a blue with vigilance that reads, when he enters the battlefield, you investigate. So, create a clue. And then you can pay Sphinx's Rev's casting cost of X white double blue, tap and sack a clue. You draw X cards and gain X life. I suppose this probably is in the colors that could maybe go infinite with, like, I don't know, Intruder Alarm.
I mean, if you look at it, it's like, wow, this looks pretty neat. It does investigate when it enters the battlefield, but then it's also like, the last part of the card you will never be activating unless like you're already in a spot where you're winning, because you're asking the table to let you have your commander that's part of a combo live a turn to activate it, and then also hoping that like as you are going to assemble your combo that they don't have a bounce spell or a removal spell for the clue.
It's asking a lot. Like exactly. If you try to, assuming you get like your billions of mana to activate this, let's assume, yeah, they can just in response like just Chain of Vapor the clue before it comes to your turn, or the commander. I suppose. I feel like the only if you're trying to do a combo with this, you basically have to Dramatic Reversal, Intruder Alarm, like some stupid Hold Breaker Horror effect, and a Haste Enabler. And that's like,
I think it's like literally Hold Breaker Horror, but then it's also like at that point, like I guess you're already maybe winning the game.
Well, yeah, I suppose you can just be like infinite mana, infinite ETBs, draw your deck, and like I guess it can do that as a 3-mana commander, but like if we're playing like bad blue-white commanders that can win the game with Holdbreaker, we should probably just be playing Shorikai, right?
Yeah, and I mean also I guess like maybe it's a food chain outlet, but like what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Yes, my favorite food chain color combination, blue-white.
Exactly. I mean like you just copy enchant the food chain and then you just go off with it, but also like again, what are you doing with your life?
Exactly, like you've given up.
Yeah, this is a cry for help is what it is.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think it's one of the better commanders in this set, so it gets to go into it says draw a card tier, because it does draw cards, which is better than most of them on this list.
Yeah, we can throw it there.
Not too much else to say about this one. Like, I mean, there's better options in this bad archetype.
I mean, I don't think there is anything else to say, honestly.
Yeah, about any of these.
With this next one, Amsu, really? Do we actually need to discuss it?
I don't want to discuss it, but I will. I'll give my 2 words on it. Amzu Swarm's Hunger next up is a legendary creature insect shaman. It's a 3/3 for 3, a black and a green. With Flying and Menace, other insects you control have Menace, and whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, you may create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among those cards. Do this only once each turn, so even without that sentence, this card's bad.
Fly Swatter.
Yeah, nah, this is terrible.
Yes, this is garbage.
Bro, Opal Chase Daredevil, it makes 5/5 insects.
That's like not even the best thing you could do with this. It's like, oh wow, it makes all of my delve spells way better. But then it's like, what?
You have to, in order to make it worth it, you need to exile like a 4-drop for your delve spells, and it's like, that just no. Like, and you're in Golgari, so what delve spells are you playing?
This is depression on the front.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him next to Agris. I'm gonna put him below Agris on this one, in the no tier.
This is way worse than Agris.
Oh yeah, easily. At least Agris can remove things.
Yeah, like Agris is at least removable. This is like, oh hey, I'm gonna try and apply pressure. Oh, here's Thorable combo. Thorable console.
It's just over.
Luck.
Next up on the list, we have a card I think is simultaneously over and underhyped in other formats. Ansrag the Quake Bull is a legendary creature mole god 8/4 for 2, a red and a green. Whenever Ansrag becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase, and then you can pay 3 double red, double green to make Ansrag have to be blocked each combat this turn if able. We did it, guys. It rivals Najila in going infinite.
Oh, dude, I mean, this is actually a pretty sweet commander because you just kind of go like, well, here's a fog, and then you just go infinite combats, and so like, because like then you can just like swing with your 1/1 dork and like, or like, I don't know, you gotta somehow bubble this guy, but it does more. Yeah. Also, like, it's an 8/4 for 4.
Yeah, I mean, your opponent's dead in 3 swings. Plays really well with Jeweled Lotus.
I mean, I think it's probably better than Ragged Dragon. People play that deck.
Yeah, people do play Ragged Dragon. At least Ragged Dragon incentivizes you to play cards you are already playing.
Ragged Dragon is literally just the Ragged Dragon these nuts across your face.
But Panglacial Worm combo.
Okay, Evan. Like, Evan is part of the pandemic of people that are addicted to copium.
It's just like, yeah, your deck can win with Panglacial Worm. My deck can win for 3 mana, okay? Ansrag, I don't know, casual all-star, you think?
I think it could probably play at high power. I think it's like probably I think it's probably one of the better commanders from the set.
That's really sad. I'll put him in better than. Do you think he's above Alquist?
I think he's hands and shoulders above it.
Okay, we'll put him in better in the 99. I think that's a good spot for him, which, like, could he be better than the 99? I don't know. The rankings are arbitrary. It's my channel. I do what I want.
I think he's, like, one of, like, 2 to 3 playable commanders out of this entire thing.
Yeah.
4. My bad.
It's really sad. This is such a low power set.
Apothecary white.
Apothecary
3 generic and a white, legendary creature, human cleric. Vigilance, whenever you attack, you create a food token for each player being attacked. White, tap it, tap X untapped foods you control, create X 1/1 white human creature tokens.
It's Timna for food.
No. Just
yeah,
you see that?
It plays well with Jeweled Lotus. It's a turn 1 commander off Jeweled Lotus.
If you open this in a pack, you get more EV out of playing this card.
Correct. Yeah, no. There's nothing there. I don't think there's much to say about Apothecary White. It's most of the clue ones are bad. This really is an exception. I'm gonna put it above Amzu, below Agris for this one.
That's fair enough, I guess. I mean, it's a 3/4 for 4.
It's a 3/4 for 4 with Vigilance, keyword. It's not a 3/3 for 5 in Golgari. Next up, we have Aurelia, the Law Above. 3 generic, a red and a white for a legendary creature angel. It's a 4/4 with flying, vigilance, and haste. Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia the Law Above deals 3 damage to each of your opponents and you gain 3 life. This feels better in formats where people attack.
Guys, it's anti-Nagila attack.
Dude, yeah, like you can just keep lightning helixing them and they'll just kill you first.
Yeah, this is the obligatory Boros combat commander that nobody will play again.
No, but it's symmetrical. It triggers if anybody attacks.
It's symmetrical.
Symmetrical in the fact you get to draw off of anybody doing it.
This is still bad.
Yeah, no, it's 5 mana's a big ask. It has keywords. It requires too many conditions. Literally, unless you're playing against exactly Nagila or you're going over time, you're never getting that lightning helix effect. So
yeah,
I'm gonna put it in casual all-star because it's probably really good in casual commander where its effects come up.
Yeah, like a handful of cards in this set are super fucking cool, but like playable in cEDH is like an entirely different.
It's a big ask.
Yeah, I mean it's like cool. Like I mean like if we really want to be like if I want to be really really like subjective, like okay, let's see how many Grixis commanders are there. Yeah, in this set, I don't think any of these will make a splash.
And even if they did have a Grixis commander, then you need to ask yourself, okay, how is this not just invalidated by like a Crom list?
When you really look at it, it's like you gotta really compete with like shit like Rograk Silas, Inala, Tavesh Crom. God, what I mean, Malcolm's File Smasher.
If you want to be quirky, I suppose, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you get Grixis Pirates. You do like Intuition with Reanimate Lines and Glitthorn, which is actually pretty fucking sweet.
No, I know it's good. It's just
it's like you really look at these commanders, you're like, wow, huh, that's neat. And then you pass it over and you look at the next page of spoilers on TCG Player.
Yeah, and you go, oh man, this sure goes in my Soldiers Matter commander deck. And speaking of Soldiers Matter, next up is Commander Mustard. 3 generic red white, a legendary human soldier with vigilance. He's a 5/5. Other soldiers you control have vigilance, trample, and haste, and you can pay 2, a red and a white until end of turn. Soldiers you control gain. Whenever this creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to defending player. Do I have to say anything more about this card?
It sucks, but I'd play it just for the name.
Yeah, it is a funny meme. I think it's better than basically everything in No Tier. I'm gonna put it in jank in a bad way, because it's like, yeah, it's jank because you have to play soldiers, but like, why are you playing soldiers?
Nah, this is another obligatory combat focused Boros commander.
Yeah, they gave us at least 2.
They gave us 2, and how many? Oh my god, how many fucking Boros commanders are there? There's 3, 4,
too many.
5. There are 5 Boros commanders in this set alone, and I think that if we didn't even talk about them, it would not matter.
You know, he's better than Amzu. I think Amzu is the worst one so far, but don't worry. It's not going to be the worst for much longer. Next up, we have one that people like more in other formats. Delny Streetwise Lookout is a 2 generic and a white legendary creature human scout. It's a 2/2. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So it's Panharmonicon for weak creatures.
I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, I mean, it makes your recruiter of the guard like double up on triggers.
Yeah, it does cool things.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think this is like one of the few cards out of this entire set that we can look at in 2 different lights. As a commander, it's as a commander, it's neat as a casual deck. Having a Panharmonicon in the command zone is incredibly powerful, and making it so they can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or less is really big. But if you look at it as like a C in this competitive aspect, it really falls short because mono white, and I don't really think there's too much you can do. But like then you look at it and like in the 99, you're like, huh, this doesn't seem so bad for a lot of decks, you know? Like, I mean, it does trigger Tymna twice, I guess, but like it's really just.
Do you need it?
It's like, yeah, it's like, do you actually care about your Tymna triggering twice, I guess? Like, you can say that there have been games that drawing 2 to 3 cards on the Tymna will win the game, but then I guess the question I have to ask you is like, are you really needing to double up on that trigger with a card that doesn't really do matter?
Yeah, and the one of 10,000 games that it wins you the game because of the trigger, like.
Yeah, and it's like when you look at this card, it's like what Tymna deck will play this when it isn't already playing stuff like Ristic Study, Mr. Remora, Esper Sentinel, just tutors in general. Like where will this work? And I think that when you really look at that, it's a card that has a really powerful effect, but it's like the 150th card for so many deck lists.
I think that's a fair assessment of it. I think, yeah, I think you're completely right. Casual all-star. I'll put it above Aurelia for sure.
I think you could probably put this. I think you can put it in better in the 99.
That's fair.
I would rank it if it were like completely just in this set. I think it works way better.
That makes sense. Because, yeah, it's like, at least in the 99, you get your recruiters, triggers. You can theoretically get your spell seekers and all that. Like, all those triggers, like, if you made, like, a recruiter matters deck that runs all the recruiters known to man, it's, like, this is good.
Yeah.
Because then, at least with some of those recruiters, you can then get both pieces and win.
Yeah, it's like it makes your recruiter effects, like, it just becomes a one-card combo.
Yeah, better in the 99. Next up, we have another Bear Matters. Descana the Rage Mother. 2 generic, a red, a green, and a white for a legendary bear. It's a 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2. And whenever a creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2 attacks, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn. It says draw a card.
It does say draw a card, and I mean, obligatory food chain commander.
Yeah, like, you know, obviously it does in fact work with food chain, but all I think can be said about this card is it says draw a card. Otherwise, it's like, if you build your entire deck around base power and toughness 2/2s, you're kneecapping yourself.
I mean, if we look at that, but I mean, there's some pretty neat cards that can do stuff with it. I mean, like, yeah, it's like specifically cards that you actually care about. None. I mean, I think it's still a neat commander, and also it's a bear, so like obligatory just bear.
Yeah, no, it's cool, but it just you put it in. It says draw. Oh, what do you got?
Actually, so Bolt Bend. It makes Bolt Bend. Actually, never fucking mind. I was gonna say it makes Bolt Bend playable, but then I was like, Bolt's already a 5/5.
Wow, you're right. It does in fact turn on Bolt Bend.
It does, but a lot of cards do that. Oh wow, it's a $3 card. Okay.
Yeah, there's playable creatures that turn on Bolt Bend.
Like Crom. But yeah, I mean, I think like overall though, like you could probably, I mean, it's a Naya pile, and it can do stuff. I don't think it's good, but
I mean, if Jetmir can be a deck, I'm sure somebody can probably pilot this to victory.
Probably, and I mean, like, it's a bear mom. Like,
yeah,
it's bearable.
All right, I'm gonna ignore that. Moving on, we're going to another clue card, Emissary Green. 4 generic and a green for a legendary creature human advisor. It's a 3/3. Whenever Emissary Green attacks, starting with you, each player votes for profit or security. You create a number of treasure tokens equal to twice the number of profit votes. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control equal to the number of security votes. This does more than most things, but it's 5 mana.
It's 5 mana and it is mono green.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, nope. It's going to be I think I'm going to put it in no, but I'm going to put it above everybody else because it does more.
Yeah, it does stuff, but I don't know if it's relevant.
No, it's not. It's not. Nothing in no is relevant.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
The rest of them are less relevant. Speaking of not relevant, coming up next is a Trada, Deadly Fugitive. 1 generic, a blue, and a black for a legendary creature vampire assassin. It is a 1/4 with Death Touch. Face down creatures you control have 2 generic, a blue, and a black. Turn this creature face up. If you can't exile it, then you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. Whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, cloak the top card of that player's library. So, like, so
what the hell is cloaking?
Cloak, you know how you can play the cards face down when you morph?
Not really.
Okay, well, cloaking is just you play it off the top of somebody's deck face down as a 2/2 with ward 2. And then, yeah, basically how this card, let's assume you get the Miracle Land. You could theoretically steal your opponent's ad nauseum off the top of their deck and play it for 4. Like,
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this is the best part about this card is that it's blue and it's black.
Yeah, leagues above most things we've talked about.
I think that it's like I think like honestly, it's blue and black's already better because you can play your 6-7 Emperor console.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still super underwhelming.
It's like sometimes you can steal people's cards, but it feels like a bad Yuriko, because it's like, at least in a Yuriko deck, you generally have control over what you're flipping. You have no idea what you're cloaking with this thing.
I mean, there's nothing about it feeling like a worse Yuriko. It's just a worse Yuriko. I'm gonna be honest with you, fam. Like, we don't gotta say it's a worse Yuriko when it is.
Yeah, I don't even know where to put this one, because I don't think it should be in jank in a bad way. But
I think I think you can place it in jank in a bad way.
Jank in a bad way?
Yeah, what were you saying that it doesn't go there?
I think it could win a webcam out of everything else here simply because it's blue and black.
I think you could win a webcam tournament with the help of a sideboard Force of Will.
You know what? That's you know what, you got me there. We'll keep it in jank in a bad way. But if any idiots are watching this that want to take a trot into a webcam, prove Cole wrong. Speaking of blue cards that are not great, next up we have Ezram Agency Chief, a 1 generic double white double blue legendary Archon Detective 5/5 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, investigate twice, and then you can pay 1 and sack an artifact. Ezram gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof until end of turn. It plays well with Jeweled Lotus. It
plays well with Jeweled Lotus? What the fuck are you talking about?
You can use all 3 of the Jeweled Lotus pips.
Oh yeah, also, oh my god, no. This is a card that I look at and go, wow, the art is sweet.
The art's cool.
But then it's a blank piece of cardboard.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
It's a 5/5 for 5 with 4 colored pips.
I think it's a casual all-star. I think there's people in casual who are going to be real excited for this card, and it'll kill people because they'll play like a blue-white artifacts deck, play Psy, have like a billion Thopters, and go, I can just make this unkillable every turn and kill you.
Dude, all you do is Urza, Lord of High Artificer, with Displacer Kitten.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just make your own like mana and card.
It goes infinite with Hullbreaker Horror.
Yeah, it does.
I suppose it does. Anyways, casual all-star. I'm gonna put
also,
it below Aurelion.
It does go infinite with Hullbreacher, but like not Hullbreacher, but also the sky is blue and birds fly.
Once again, if you want to play artifacts or you want to go infinite with Hullbreaker Horror in these colors, you could just play Shorikai instead, and you'd feel a little better about it.
Feel better is a hell of a way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, like you if you play Shorikai in those colors with you will still die, but you'll die knowing you played a better deck.
Yeah.
Speaking of dying, next up we have Feather Radiant Arbiter. Costs a red and double white for a legendary angel with flying and lifelink. It's a 4/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell that targets only Feather Radiant Arbiter, you may choose any number of other creatures that spell could target and pay 2 generic for each of those creatures. If you do, for each of those creatures, copy that spell. The copy targets that creature. Why are you not just playing the other Feather?
Yeah, this is worse Feather and worse Zada.
Yeah, this is jank in a bad way.
Yeah, jank in a bad way.
Easily. There's nothing else to say about this card. Just play Feather the Redeemed. Just play Zada. If you really want to do this, there's literally another Feather that does it better. Card I'm incredibly excited about in another format, Headliner Scarlet. 3 generic and a red for a legendary creature human warlock. It's a 3/3 with haste. When Headliner Scarlet enters the battlefield, creatures target player controls can't block this turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library face down. You may look at and play that card this turn. There are no board states in maybe 1 out of 200 games where making an opponent be unable to block is going to matter.
Sucks in 4-man pods, bucks in 2-man games.
Oh, it's amazing at 2-man games. I'm gonna put this definitely. I'm gonna say casual all-star because people are gonna slam this, and people are gonna be got by this in regular Commander.
Oh, 100%.
Easily. Otherwise, not much to say about it. It's got the impulse card advantage, but it's not good enough for mono red. Just please play something else. Speaking of playing something else, next up we have Azoni, Center of the Web, 4 generic, a black and a green. Legendary creature Elf Detective. It's a 5/4 with Menace. Whenever Azoni, Center of the Web, enters the battlefield or attacks, you may collect evidence 4. So for those who don't know, that is exiling cards from your graveyard with mana value 4 or greater. If you do, create 2 2/1 black and green spider creature tokens with Menace and Reach, and you can sacrifice 4 tokens to Surveil 2, then draw 2 and gain 2. It's 6 mana.
Yeah, 6 mana, Golgari, does nothing.
Tokens. Jank in a bad way.
It seems cool and casual.
That's true. You could definitely play it in casual. Seems fun.
Yeah, I mean, like the secondary, the last line of text, it says sacrifice 4 tokens, Surveil 2, draw 2, lose 2. I mean, gain 2. My bad, gain 2. So I mean, like,
there's definitely, like, with all the food cards and the treasure cards, like, you can do fun stuff with it in casual.
Yeah, I mean, it's tokens. It doesn't say food tokens, artifact tokens, creature tokens, or even like enchantment tokens. You know, this is like,
yeah, it's not limited.
This will play very well with the cards from Wilds Developer.
Definitely. For that reason, it's going to casual all-star. Next up, we have a card I wish was 4 mana, Judith Carnage Connoisseur. It is 3 generic for a black and a red. It's a legendary creature, human shaman, 3/4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose 1. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink, or you can create a 2/2 red imp creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent.
This looks like a card that would play all the Kark cards better than Kark does. Like, End the Festivities.
Yeah, no, like, and the Festivities is really funny with this card. It's like, it's a board wipe.
Yeah, and like, I mean, if you can like somehow find a way to chain instants and sorceries together in a single turn and then just go, I'm gonna make like 30 or 40 2/2s, I'm gonna just end the Festivities the board. Like, that kind of just ends the game, but that's like so much work.
Yeah, you have to put in too much. Like, wouldn't you just play Ob Nixilis at that point?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that if it was Magecraft, where it cast or copy, I honestly think you could probably get away with it. It'd be a lower tier cEDH deck, but you'd have the ability to abuse like Dualcaster Mage and like Plumb the Forbidden or whatever, Chain of Smog.
Yeah, Chain of Smog just end on infinite.
Like, I mean, Chain of Smog, I mean, like, for really anything, any like red or black spell that copies.
Yeah, I feel like this card would just, with a little adjustment, you could play this in cEDH and like be fine, I guess, but like as it stands as is.
I think that it's too slow for cEDH, and the ability requires too much stuff to do anything meaningful, so it's effectively a 5 mana piece of blank cardboard. However, in casual, I'd fucking play this. I would love to play this as a Rakdos Spellslinger deck that's like not just for Waki or like Kark, whatever, or like a generic other commander. Like, this is actually a really cool design for casual.
Yeah, no, really good in casual. I also agree with you on that. It's really cool. I'll give you the next card, the best card in the set.
Really?
Yeah.
Cost. Eyes of the Glade. I already hate this. I mean, it's a 2/2 for 2, and it's a red-white hybrid with full green. Legendary creature, Dryad Detective. Whenever a creature you control that was turned face up this turn deals combat damage to the player or draw a card. And you can tap it to target face down attacking creature you control face up.
I don't care what you say. This is the Gila tier.
Go for it. This thing. I mean, the best thing about this is that it turns on your SWAT early. Other than that, it doesn't do nothing else.
Yeah, no, it's Najila tier because all of those face down
creatures
that you turn face up so often in cEDH draw you cards, which is
the
best thing ever.
Your will bender or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, no, Najila tier, easily. I'm putting it there and you can't stop me. Best card in the set.
I'm not trying to stop you.
Thank you. I'm glad you agree.
Agree is a strong word.
What do we have next, Cole?
Kellen, Inquisitive Prodigy. 2 generic blue-green for a legendary creature, Human Fairy Detective Jesus Christ Adventure. Tail the Suspect, blue-green for a sorcery adventure. It says investigate, you may play an additional land this turn, and then you exile it, and you may cast the creature related from exile. The creature side is a 3/4 flying and vigilance. And whenever Kellen Inquisitive Prodigy attacks, destroy up to 1 target artifact. If you controlled that permanent, you draw a card. I think the best part of this card is the sorcery.
Yeah, no, easily.
Growth Spiral is good.
Yeah, it's like a slower growth spiral, right? It's more like explore. It's more like exploration or whatever it's called.
I mean, I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't play the formats it's relevant.
I think this is just copium once again.
Explore. It is just it is worse explore. I'm gonna put it under the copium that is. It says draw a card.
Oh my god. Okay, that's fair enough.
Ooh, we have a goblin, Cranko, Baron of Tin Street.
Wait, what is it?
We got a Cranko, buddy.
Wait, no, what's the creature type again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Human Fairy Detective. Weird they gave that to Cranko. Cranko, Baron of Tin Street is a 2 generic red legendary goblin, 3/3 with haste. You can tap it and sack an artifact to put a +1/+1 counter on each goblin you control. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay red. If you do, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains haste until end of turn. We did it, guys. We didn't even break Dockside with this one because you have to untap him.
Yeah, this is a commander that I think is maybe gonna be able. I think this is one of the cards that's likely to just do decent in fringe tables because it has the ability to. It solves kind of one of the problems with a lot of decks where if you try to include stacks pieces where you just kind of die to your own stacks pieces. It can eat those like a Trinisphere or a Sphere of Resistance or Grafdigger's Cage, whatever the hell you're playing, and it can get rid of it. That seems like an okay effect, but I still don't know if that's good enough. I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah, is that what you really want to be doing right now? Yeah, it's cool that you can break your own stacks pieces when you need to, but the good stacks, quote unquote, good stacks commanders don't need to break out. They just don't care about their stacks pieces.
Yeah, it's the good stacks play through their own pieces better than the rest of the table, and that's why they're good,
Exactly. I don't know. What do you think about it in the 99?
Sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know what? Fair enough. I'm just going down the list on this one. It's if you're playing Goblin,
Goblin, these nuts.
Thank you. Casual All-Star or Jank in a bad way? What do we think?
I think it's a good casual deck. I think that's a really cool casual commander that can just do well with a lot of the token makers you see in red.
It does some cool things. It's not cEDH here. Next up, we have Kylox, Visionary Inventor. 5 generic, a blue and a red. For a legendary creature, Viashino Artificer. It's a 4/4 with Menace, Ward 2, and Haste. Whenever Kylox attacks, sacrifice any number of other creatures, then exile the top X cards of your library, where X is their total power. You may cast any number of instants and or sorceries from among them without paying their mana costs. It's 7 mana.
So it's an epic experiment? Oh, you have to sacrifice creatures, and is it? Yeah, no, this is
no.
garbage.
Jank in a terrible way.
No, this isn't even jank. I think this is just no.
No. Yeah.
Because when you think about it, even in casual decks, what is it? Decks are playing more than 10 or 11 creatures,
That's fair.
And it's do you really want to be focusing on it? It can make a cool deck. It's a cool deck idea, but it works well with token generators. Never mind.
I feel like if you're playing a card that interacts with tokens in Is It for 7 mana, you play Ovika.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I was saying, if you think about it, you can just, make a ton of tokens, and then, just use this as a payoff.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, cool, I have 30 tokens. Oh, well, my commander will let me play the top 30 cards of my library for free now.
So you think casual all-star, then?
I think it's gonna be right below that.
Jank in a bad way?
It's not. Yeah, it's jank, but I don't think it's bad.
How about I just put it at the way bottom of casual all-star?
Okay, that's fair.
That seems fair for it. It's a
Yeah,
cool.
like
It's cool.
yeah, it's cool. I just don't think I don't know how good it's actually gonna be. You know,
I will give you the second best card in the set.
Lavinia. Oh god, Lavinia, foil to conspiracy, 1 generic and double hybrid blue-white mana for a legendary creature that is a human detective. A 2/3 with vigilance, and whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. And then you can tap it to add 2 colorless, but it can only be activated during an opponent's turn. I mean, it's better than a lot of the cards from this set.
Yeah, it's a mana dork. It makes it so you can crack your clues on your opponent's turn and investigates repeatedly.
It still makes me incredibly sad.
It was close.
I think that if it didn't stay on your opponent's turn, I think it'd be a lot more playable.
Oh yeah, if it was just double mana dork.
Oh yeah, no, if it was just a blue-white mana dork, that even if it said you can only use this to activate abilities of artifacts, I think it'd be way more playable.
Oh, it'd 100% be played.
Yeah. But
if you could do it outside of your opponent's turn, you could even do. I mean, okay, you can still do this, but like I don't think I would. It's let me pull it up here. Never mind, you can't. It's colorless mana. Trash. Not.
Real.
It's not that bad. It says draw a card. I'm gonna put it in. It says draw a card tier because it creates a clue to draw technically.
Fair enough.
It's going to be at the way bottom. It's honorary. It says draw a card. Next up, we have Lazav, Wearer of Faces, which is a blue-black 2/3 legendary creature shapeshifter detective. Whenever Lazav, Wearer of Faces attacks, exile target card from a graveyard, then investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you may have Lazav become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn.
This makes me think of the Lazav from Ravnica Allegiance or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, the one that could surveil instead of investigate.
Yeah, but like the thing is that I'm thinking of like when people were trying to break through like 4 Horsemen effects, and like I was also part of those people, but like this just seems way worse, in, like almost every imaginable way.
Yeah, no.
I still think it's a cool design though. I think that as far as the new mechanic goes, I definitely like it a lot more than a lot of the other cards.
I really liked this Lazav, not in cEDH. I liked the Lazav. I liked how it was worded. You know, it was whenever you sacrifice the clue. Like you didn't have to, you didn't have to crack it yourself. You know, you could literally just sacrifice the artifact for a different cost, and Lazav's ability would kick in, which is cool if you're trying to do like some Grixis jank and like Canadian Highlander. You put this with like broadside bombardiers. Stack your triggers so that it makes the clue, and then you immediately sack it with the boast. Like, that's cool. And then you get the trigger to turn into a copy if you exiled something. Like, it pairs with, like, channel creatures in that sense if you're playing any of them. So it's got, like, cool jank uses because of its design, but it's just, it's not cEDH.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe you could play with, like, the, what are they called? The cyclers from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that seems pretty easy to work with, and, like, I think that's still kind of one of the worst ways you could pair it, but, like, you know, like, there are ways of making this work, but I don't know how good any of that is, if that makes any sense.
You basically have to build, like, bad necrotic ooze, right?
Maybe, but even then, I'm like, this doesn't seem... Because it only becomes a copy of one.
Yeah, it could become a copy of the necrotic ooze and have the abilities, but, like, you're jumping through a lot of hoops, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's like, why not just reanimate the necrotic ooze, you know?
Exactly. I guess, you know, you could argue it's a pseudo reanimate for the effect in the command zone. It's just, it's a lot to ask. It isn't Dimir, which isn't nothing, but probably jank in a bad way.
Yeah, probably. I think that it'll get a lot of brewing done with it, and I think that'll be really cool to see people come up with. I don't think it's going to be good.
I think the brewing knowledge that will come off of this card will be used for a better commander down the line.
Yeah, probably.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, the card that has a combo not in its colors. So Lannis Genetics Expert for a generic and 2 hybrid Simic mana, legendary creature Snake Elf Detective, and it has Evolve, which is whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power toughness than this creature, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Lonus, you investigate that many times. And whenever you sacrifice a clue, you put a 1 counter on another target creature you control, which is pretty fucking sweet. However, this sadly does not work as well as we would hope it would.
It's in the wrong colors.
Yeah, there's literally a card that combos with this. It's an A+B combo, and it would be perfect, but it's white.
And then it's like, then you can maybe argue, oh, you could put it in the 99 for the combo, and like maybe you could, but
it's awkward.
Yeah,
it's saddening.
He was very close.
He was close, and that's all he will ever be.
He's probably more entertaining to play in casual than the other Lannis, which is just a casual safe cannon.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I feel like he's fun.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these cards are really, really cool, and they have really cool designs, but you can definitely tell that Wizards was just being incredibly safe with all of these like designs.
Well, yeah, Modern Horizons 3 is coming up. They can afford to be.
They have to sell packs of that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Marvo Deep Operative, 3 generic and blue-black, a legendary creature which is an octopus rogue. Already good. Whenever Marvo attacks, it clashes with defending player. And clash, you might ask, what the hell is this weird mechanic from 2008 that comes up every once in a while?
It comes up when people play Charbelcher in Modern.
Yeah, it comes up exactly then. So modern players are probably familiar with it, but for everybody else, each clashing player reveals the top card of their library and then puts that card on the top or bottom. A player wins if their card had a higher mana value. And then on the topic of clash, whenever you win a clash, you draw a card. Then you may cast a spell from your hand with mana value 8 or less without paying its mana cost.
It says draw a card.
It says draw a card. It casts spells for free. It's a 1/8. I think it's neat, but
I really like its casual design. Like, I think for casual, this card is really well designed because, you know, the clash mechanic, and then the fact that you can, if you win the clash, you cast something with CMC 8 or less. The fact that it can be like a 6 or 7 or 8 means that it's incentivizing you to build your deck around high mana value things so you can actually win the clash. I like how it feeds into itself like that. With that being said, it's going to go into, it says draw a card, and we're going to move on.
Yeah, that's one for now.
Next up, we have Massacre Girl, known killer, also known as Massacre Girl. Please step on me. 2 generic, double black for a legendary creature, human assassin, 4/4 with menace. Creatures you control have Wither, which means they deal damage into creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. You know, the problem with Wither is it's fixed infect. It should just give everything infect.
Yeah, this is a cool card. I mean, what do?
Toxic Deluge.
Fair enough.
That's it.
Toxic Deluge Toxic Deluge does work pretty well with this, I guess.
It says draw a card. I'm not putting it in that category because I don't think it deserves to be that high. It probably just goes, it's probably a casual all-star. I'm sure people in casual are going to love building deadweight matters.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty sweet way of putting it.
Yeah, it's like, it's going to be fun. You get to play like Deadweight, Languish, Toxic Deluge, any like black is the color for the -X/-X effects. I think she's going to be really fun in those decks. Never comes up except out of like specifically Toxic Deluge in cEDH.
Yeah, but I mean like Toxic Deluge with this just makes it a fucking 3-mana draw. Like,
cool. In my 99 card deck, I have a single card that makes my commander do something.
That's like every commander deck. What are you talking about?
No, Najila has like 3.
Okay, like I mean, I guess.
Asurrak had like 5.
Okay, we're not discussing Asurrak.
But speaking of 3-mana black commanders, next up we have Mastermind Plum, which is a 2 generic and a black legendary creature. Human wizard is a 2/2. Whenever Mastermind Plum attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. If an artifact card was exiled this way, create a treasure token. Whenever you cast a spell, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. It says draw a card. That's about it.
You can hear me sighing because that's all I have to say.
Yeah. It says draw a card. I'm putting Marvo and it says draw a card, but Plum is going above him. There's nothing else to say about this commander.
Melik Reforged Researcher, 3 generic blue-red. A legendary creature, and it is a weird detective, and it is certainly a weird card. Melik Reforged Researcher's power and toughness are each equal to twice the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. And the first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast. So it hits hard, but I mean, if you're playing I imagine you're probably playing a different commander, right?
Yeah, like just play Niv Mizzet at this point.
Yeah, I mean, like, cool, like, you could probably play if you want the reduction, but then it's like, I imagine there's probably way better decks for that kind of stuff, you know?
I also think it's really funny that if you just don't have an instant or sorcery in your graveyard, your commander just dies instantly.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, no, it's not great. Jank in a bad way. Next up, speaking of a build around, though, Mirko Obsessive Theorist is a 1 generic blue-black legendary creature vampire detective. It is a 1/3 with flying and vigilance. Whenever you surveil, put a +1/+1 counter on Mirko, and at the beginning of your end step, you may return target creature card with power less than Mirko's from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. So if it would die, exile it instead.
I like this one.
It's cool.
I think it's really sweet, and like, I think that it's too slow for cEDH. I don't think the effect is good enough. However, I like it. Like, I just think it's really, really neat, and it's a really interesting way of exploring like animator in general as an archetype.
I can't believe they put the effect at end step instead of upkeep.
Yeah, that's good. That's also really surprising because they don't traditionally do that. I honestly think that is probably going to be a really big like game changer, because that's gonna open up a lot more play with it. I think it's gonna make it a lot more popular, a lot cooler to play with and against, you know. Do I think it's good enough? Maybe not, but
I like that it says power instead of mana value.
I agree.
It's really cool. Easily a casual all-star.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one.
Next up, we have a card that was so close. We have Morska, Undersea Sleuth. It costs a green, a white, and a blue for a legendary Vidalcan Fish Detective. It's a 2/3. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Morska, Undersea Sleuth. It doesn't do enough.
Yeah, this is sweet, but I think it's a neat. I think it's like an interesting card, but see, in this specific context of like cEDH, it's not good enough.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it is cool. Like, I like what it does. You know, it can turn any of your cantrips into power. Like, that's not nothing.
Yeah. No, I agree on that one.
Repeatable Investigate is nice. It's got stuff going for it. Just not in this format.
Yeah, just not in specifically cEDH.
Yeah, so it's getting filled, but that's how bell curves work. Putting in casual all-star because it does a lot of cool things and not this format.
Yep, I agree on that one.
I'm gonna give you my favorite card of the set.
Okay, Nelly Borka. Let's see, Impulsive Accuser. 2 generic, red-white. Legendary creature, human detective, and it's a 2/4 vigilance. And it says, whenever Nelly Borka, Impulsive Accuser, attacks, suspect target creature, and a suspected creature has menace and can't block. And then you go to all suspected creatures. And whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls deals combat damage to one or more of your opponents, you and the controller of those creatures each draw a card.
I love Goad. I love a boring ability that does nothing in 1v1.
It does nothing in one. Wait.
It forces your opponent to attack. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, ooh, cool, the Magical Christmas Land, where they needed that creature to stick around for some reason, and I get to make it attack, or I could just run a removal spell.
Yeah, I think that in 1v1 it sucks, but, like, you know, in the context of cEDH, it seems pretty sweet, I think. Not cEDH, I mean Commander, just casual Commander. Just because, like, if you think about it, like, these are the kinds of effects you want to have to incentivize, like, games. Yeah, politics and games, and just, like, really that social aspect of what makes Commander so fun, you know?
Oh, great and casual.
Yeah, exactly. But like for cEDH specifically, though, it probably does not cut the cross the threshold, you know? It's
a big threshold to cross, as we're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, you got to think about it. Like, you got to look at these cards and be like, is this better than 31 years of Magic? Like, does this card do anything that is new, and does it improve upon any existing strategies, and is it better than the already existing Grixis core, which includes Underworld Breach, Dockside, Risky Study, Mystical Mora, Ad Nauseam, Oracle, Console, Tainted Pact, like all these cards that are just so incredibly powerful. And if it doesn't, then it's gonna be really difficult to see any play in a competitive aspect, you know?
For the record, that's a good thing. You know, it's good that we can look at sets and not go, oh yeah, these 7 commanders are Najila tier. It's like, that's good.
Yeah, like I don't want to be seeing that every time, you know? Like there was a point in time where like I was looking at this, I was like, wow, this is like 3 or 4 more cards that I need to like look at buying because it's good enough to see play.
Exactly. And I don't think I think it's good that things are getting depowered. The only problem with that is if you're playing like a vintage format, quote unquote, is that then you have to compete with the cards when they weren't doing that. With that being said, Modern Horizons 3 coming up. Aren't you excited?
Oh god, yeah. Oh yeah. So excited.
I can't wait to get my single copies of cards that are going to break things. Next up, we have Niv Mizzet Guild Pact. Niv Mizzet costs Wooburg, so 1 of every color. For a legendary creature Dragon Avatar, it's a 6/6 with flying and hexproof from multicolored. Whenever Niv Mizzet Guild Pact deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards, and you gain X life, where X is the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. I think it's really funny that everything but the life gain targets.
This is the 3rd Niv Mizzet that has 5 colors.
It's the second best.
That's a strong word.
Of the 3, it is the second best Niv Mizzet because the other one, it gives multicolored spells jumpstart?
Oh god, I forgot about that one. Wait, okay, so
hold on. How many Niv Mizzets are there? 1.
How many 5-colored Niv Mizzets are there?
No, you were right. It's 3. You just forgot what one of them did. That one gives instants and sorceries in your graveyard that are exactly 2 colors jumpstart. So this is the second best 5-color Niv Mizzet because at least it draws cards.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It says draw cards. I think it's really funny that the life total change the life gain doesn't target. That's funny. It says draw a card. Not much else to say about it. Please just play Niv Mizzet Reborn, Food Chain, and cry about that instead.
Okay, oh god. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. 4 generic black-red for a legendary creature that is a demon. And it's a 6/6 with flying and trample that says at the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you draw 2 cards.
Says draw a card, says draw a card.
It says draw cards. It just reminds me of Raids, but worse. Honestly, I think that if they made this effect on a cheaper body, kind of like Braids, I think it could have been playable.
Yeah,
like definitely. Not as a commander, but like
just in general. As it stands, I think this one's just a big no. Next up, we have it's an Azami card.
I fucking hate my life.
It's a 5-drop blue spell. Senator Peacock is a 3 generic double blue legendary creature human advisor Abu. 3/4 artifacts you control are clues in addition to their other types, and they have pay 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, target creature can't be blocked to this turn. Urza exists as the big problem.
Calling this an Azami card is incredibly generous.
It's 5 mana and it's blue. Unfortunately, Urza exists at a cheaper mana and with probably, outside of some combos, a better effect. So
I don't know if it's unfortunate.
It's cool, but I'm gonna put it at jank in a bad way, but at the top of jank in a bad way. Next up, this is actually a card that I actually think was close if it just had a different line of text on it. Sophia, Dogged Detective, is a generic green, white, blue, 3/4 legendary creature human detective. When Sophia enters the battlefield, create Tiny, a legendary 2/2 green dog detective creature token with trample. You can pay 1, sacrifice an artifact token to put a +1/+1 counter on each dog you control. Whenever a dog you control deals combat damage to a player, create a food token, then investigate. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people were talking about this like as in 1v1 as kind of like a weird miscon move. I think it's just not comparable.
No, it's not as good. Obviously, it's like you have to build around it. Like you need the tokens out there already to even get close. I still think it's fine in 1v1 formats, but it might be like the 102nd card in those decks.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, as like a commander, I mean it has dogs on it. I don't hate it. Like I think that like at the end of the day, like if you're playing this card, like like in a cEDH setting, probably not. I don't think any of these cards would ever that are being spoiled. Like I don't think 99% of them are cEDH, but like this is like a pretty cool casual commander.
Definitely. I think it's really cool and casual. Definitely a casual all-star. But for cEDH, just doesn't make the cut, which, you know, shocker is a common theme. Next up, we have Taysak, I assume that's how I say there, Taysak. Judas Hellhound for 3 generic and a red. Legendary creature, elemental dog. It's another dog. It's a 3/3 with Unleash. Unleash, you may have this creature enter the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. It can't block as long as it has a +1/+1 counter on it. Other dogs you control have Unleash. Creatures you control with counters on them have haste. Whenever Taysak Judas Hellhound attacks, add red for each attacking creature. Dogs. Put in Ren and Seri. Dog, Nigila. Moving on.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Exactly. Next up, we have Teysa, Opulent Oligarch. 1 generic, a white, and a black for a legendary creature, Human Advisor 2/3 with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. Whenever a clue you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. Tymna, this is not. It does a lot, but it's not Tymna.
I don't think the once each turn just fucking kills it. I think that honestly, if it didn't have the once each turn, I would think of it so much more highly. I think that this is such a common sentiment with so many people, but like the once each turn is it's just
a cop out.
Yeah, it's like cop out. It's
we don't want to balance this card properly, but we know if we put once each turn on it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like it's cool that you can do that, but it's such a lazy way of doing that, you know. And like maybe there just isn't a way, but like why do it? Why make it?
Exactly. It's cool. It's so close. I'm gonna put it in. It says draw a card, and we're unfortunately going to mourn the loss. Speaking of a card that says draw a card, next up we have the Pride of Hulklade. This is a 10 generic green legendary creature, Crocodile Elk Turtle. It is a 2/15. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness of creatures you control. It has Defender, and you can pay 2 double blue until end of turn. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card equal to its toughness, and it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. A lot of text on this card. I love this thing.
I think that if you were to play with this card in an only new commander pod, I think that this is probably one of your best options.
Oh yeah, no, easily.
Like, it turns out that when you're in a green blue deck, you're just making a shit ton of mana anyways. You're playing a lot of high toughness creatures. You can just fucking activate this twice, or activate this once and draw 15 cards. Like,
it'd be kind of fun. I'm not saying it'd be good, but it's probably pretty funny if you're like doing like you could probably throw this into Kinnan Monster Mash and get away with it. I'm not saying it's the good choice, but you could get away with it.
I mean, maybe not Kinnan, just because I don't think that it's good enough. But like, I mean, this is like, I don't think this is a terrible choice. I think that's very much just gonna end up as like Fringe, which is about as good as you're gonna get for 99% of these guys.
No, definitely. And I'm not saying it's good in Kinnan. I'm saying that you could get away with going, I want to play this funny card in Kinnan tonight.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
But yeah, no, it's cool. It's probably one of your better Fringe options. It says draw a card, and it's going to the top of it says draw a card for that. It
draws a lot of cards.
Draws a lot of cards. It beats everything else in that category, I think.
Yeah, I wish there was a category that said draw a lot of cards.
Yeah, draw a lot of cards. Next up, we have Tulsimir number 18 trillion. Tulsimir Midnight's Light is a 2 generic green double white legendary creature Elf Scout. It's a 3/2 with lifelink. When Tulsimir enters the battlefield, create Voha Fenstalker, a legendary 5/5 green and white wolf creature token with trample. Whenever a wolf you control attacks, if Tulsimir attacked this combat, target creature an opponent controls blocks that wolf this combat if able. This is bad.
I just blanked out for everything you said, yeah, but
you might as well.
I'm like, it's Tulsimir. I mean, it's a historically bad commander.
Yeah, it's bad. I'm putting it above Amzu, but like it's not above anything else in no tier. Amzu, it's hard to go below Amzu.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It's bad. Voha is better than Tulsimir, and we'll get to Voha in a second. But before we get to that, it's another pre-release card. We have Tomic Wielder of Law is a 1 generic white-black legendary creature, human advisor, 2/4 with affinity for planeswalkers. It costs 1 less to cast for each planeswalker you control. Has flying and vigilance, and whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, that opponent loses 3 life and you draw a card.
I hate this card.
Really?
And it is not for the reason that is because of how it works. It's not because of it's not even because I don't think it's the best. I hate it because of the wording of that final paragraph on the card where it says whenever an opponent attacks with creatures. What the fuck else are you attacking with?
And I remember people were saying like, oh, it's to save words. It's like, you can just save the words with creatures. What?
Whenever one or more creatures attack.
Yeah.
That makes... I do not understand. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures like that, that sentence just makes me dislike the card, and it's the stupidest reason why.
All right, bottom of no tier then, just for that.
Yeah, just because of that. Just because of the terrible fucking phrasing.
Actually beating out Amzu. Next up, we have the killer of Mirza Karlov Manor. Sorry for the spoilers, you should have read it by now. Trostani 3 Whispers is a green and then hybrid Selesnya and then a white for a legendary creature Dryad. It's a 4/4 and has 3 abilities. The first one is for 1 and a green. A target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn. For a hybrid Selesnya, target creature gains Vigilance until end of turn. And then for 2 generic and a white, target creature gains Double Strike until end of turn. It's too much of a mana sink.
This doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything. It does something like on turn 6.
In cEDH, this is a blank piece of cardboard.
In a lot of formats, this is a blank piece of cardboard. It's like, It's
a 4/4 for 3.
That's
which is the best part about it.
Best part. But like, in what deck in anything really wants to go, yeah, instead of committing to the board, I'm gonna give something a keyword.
This is what was that Teamer guy from Savage? This is Savage Knuckleblade and Selesnya.
You're right.
This is gonna be a card that people are like, this seems kind of neat, and they play with it and go, this does nothing.
It doesn't do what you want it to. Like,
also in 1v1, like in any of the legacy formats that have Karakas, it is Karakasable.
Yeah.
Every single fucking card on this list, but...
Well, yeah. Karakasable, bring it all down a tier. And it's like, in those legacy formats, like, I don't agree with the sentiment of building your deck around the fact, don't build your deck like your opponent's going to have Karakas turn 1 every time, but if the card is like especially bad, then it becomes even more of a consideration. It's like, oh, this card can be Karakas, but it does so much that like, whatever. Trostani goes, this card can be Karakas and does nothing.
I just...
Unban Karakas.
I don't know about that one.
Keep it fair.
I like the card. It's kind of fucking miserable, though. It just invalidates any strategy that requires a commander.
Correct. Commanders are overrated anyways. But Trostani, I think Trostani's just no. It doesn't do anything. Vannifar Evolved Enigma, which is a 2 generic green-blue legendary creature Elf Ooze Wizard. It's a 3/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1. You can either cloak a card from your hand, which is where you put a card from your hand face down. It's a 2/2 creature with ward 2. You can turn it face up at any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card. And then you can put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control.
cEDH, this sucks.
cEDH All-Star.
I don't know I don't even know what else to say about it. I just think it's bad.
It's just bad.
I think that like maybe in casually play in like a Simic colorless deck, but like...
Yeah, but like you can't even cheat the cost is the worst part, you know? For like the cloak.
No, but like in casual, I'm just like imagining that like you play with like Walking Ballista and like Angerback Walker and shit like that.
Yeah, but we have a creature that does that. It's called Steel Overseer for 2 mana.
Yeah, it's just really mid.
Yeah,
just all around, I think.
Definitely, I put it in no.
This looks like this is a limited all-star.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It does so much in limited, but it does absolutely nothing anywhere else. All right, next up, we have Voha, Jaws of the Conclave. This is 2 generic, a red, a green, and a white for a legendary wolf. It's a 5/5 with Vigilance, Trample, and Ward 3. Whenever Voha, Jaws of the Conclave attacks, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control. Draw a card for each wolf you control. It says draw a card. It's better than Tulsimir.
It draws cards. I just see this card, and every time I look at it, I think it says enter the battlefield or attacks.
Yeah.
But, like,
Why didn't this one say
I don't hate it. For cEDH, I don't think it's good enough.
No.
For casual, though, it seems pretty sweet as a Naya Elves commander.
Yeah, like there's not a lot of options for that. So it's the fact that you have an option for Naya Elves in casual is really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing in cEDH. It was almost a good natural order target in like janky 1v1 decks. But then it said whenever it attacks, and I gave up.
Yaris, Roar of the Old Gods. 2 generic red-green, already shit. It's a legendary creature, a Centaur Druid, and it's a 4/4. Other creatures you control have haste. Okay, that's pretty good. Whenever one or more face-down creatures you control deal a combat damage to a player, draw a card. Again, with the face-down stuff, I get it. It's the set mechanic. It's the ideal thing you want to be doing, but I think that when you have, I don't even know how many other face-down cards matters. I don't think you need it more than 3. And whenever a face-down creature you control dies, return to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. If it's a permanent card, then turn it face up.
It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's cool. It's like Whisperwood Elemental in the command zone, and that was a beater in Standard back when that was a thing. Which, I mean, I guess is a thing again. But like, I think that cEDH sucks. Casual, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think that like it's fine still, but like it's just like I'm looking at this and I just don't think you need that many cards that care about face down creatures, because like I'm looking and it's like actually there's only 4 cards commanders that care about face down cards, which I mean it's maybe too many.
Like, why aren't you playing Sidisi?
Maybe. I do think it's interesting. I think that the fact that it can cheat creatures out. Like whenever a face down creature you control dies, return to the battlefield face down or under its control. If it's a permanent card, then you turn it face up. So like maybe you play it with like, what's that one card that people play? Primal Surge.
Oh, okay.
Like it seems like a pretty interesting Primal Surge deck, but that's a fucking old thing. But it plays well with things like the Manifest Ugin and Manifest creatures in general. Like, but in Gruul, I just don't know. You know, I think that really maybe I'm a bit jaded, but like cEDH, I'm not even discussing for cEDH because I don't think it'll ever be played there.
Yeah, no, you're playing Gruul.
Yeah, I mean, just very baseline. Like I already think that if you're not in, I think that if you're in, not in at least blue, black, or red, and then you are also, and if one of your other colors is green, I already think you're at a pretty low disadvantage. Sans like maybe, I don't even know, no, because that rule kind of like if you're playing like blue green, I think that unless you're Kinnan, I think you're gonna be struggling. I think that if you're like white green, you don't exist. If you're black green, Gitrog died in 2019.
You need to get over it.
No, 2020. That's when Breach and Dockside was 2019. Breach was 2020.
The accident happened 8 years ago. You need to let him go.
Oh my god. Like that's all 4 color combinations I think I talked about. If you're red green, like I don't know what you play. I mean, like maybe Minsk can do, but I don't know what else you play for cEDH rule. I think that I get that they need to showcase the face down mechanic, but I honestly think this is one of the more interesting ones from what we saw. But I just don't think it's good enough.
No.
You know, but casual, I think it's a super cool commander.
Oh, definitely.
I just don't even know.
It's a very low powered set for commander or for cEDH. Just how it be.
I think that the commanders are really low power, but I think that there are certain cards that are going to be really popular. Like the Surveil lands look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Surveil lands are going to be really cool for casual commander because they're fetchable and they also can help beat card selection. I think that you've got stuff like I'm personally a fan of Long Goodbye just because it's uncounterable. It hits creatures or planeswalkers. One card that I'm going to be playing in a different format, Canadian Highlander, I'm going to be playing World Souls Rage because I think that looks pretty neat. Like I think this set has a lot of really cool stuff, but I think that a lot of the issue with it, and really any other Magic set in general, that isn't a direct print to a specific format like Modern Horizons, I think is the best for cEDH in general. If you want to talk about new toys to play with.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to crack a lot of things.
Yeah, it's just that the power level for standard sets and most supplemental sets won't make any impact at all on cEDH.
That's just how it be.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it, you see those people every set. They're like, "Oh my god, there's 20 cards I want to try out for my new cEDH check." I'm like, "No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Don't lie to yourself."
There's cards that you're coping on.
Yeah, no, I think that out of every single set, sans Modern Horizons 3 sets and just sets of that nature, I think you see maybe 2 to 3 cards that are cEDH playable. You know?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, but I think that even then, like, sometimes we get really lucky. Like, you got, like, the Universe Beyond set. That is another exception. Because, like, Lord of the Rings fucked shit up.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, like, who knows what Fallout's gonna bring?
I'm excited for Fallout. I think that it'll be really sweet.
I'm waiting for the card that'll break something. Or the mechanic.
We already have Mothman.
We have Mothman. He is easily Najila tier, and I haven't seen much else yet.
What else do you want?
Yeah, like you have Mothman. That's all we needed for this game to be perfect. But with that being said, and we've made it to the end. We made it through the slog that was 43 potential options as commanders, and this is our tier list. If you disagree, you are objectively incorrect and should stop playing cEDH. Uninstall and just delete all your socials. With mentioning socials, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff, or don't. Like, do what you want, man. If you like this, do it. If you don't. Whatever works. Cole, you have any socials you want to plug?
No, if you're listening to this, I don't want you to find me.
if you are watching this video, I do not want to associate with you.
If you watched all of this and listened to our opinions on all 42 of these commanders, do not reach out.
You are either nobody we want to associate with, or you fell asleep with autoplay on. But with that all being said and the tier list done, thank you for joining us for this long. If you have, I am an H piece of the puzzle, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Goodbye.